to speak.
I'm not going to stay on here long. Hold on. I got to show y'all.
To the nation. And he said, I address you at a moment unprecedented in the history of the Union. Hitler was on the march. War was raging in Europe. President Roosevelt's purpose was to wake up Congress and alert the American people that this was no ordinary time. Freedom and democracy were under assault in the world. Tonight, I come to this same chamber to address the nation. Now, it's we who face an unprecedented moment in the history of the Union. And yes, my purpose tonight is to wake up the Congress.
Did y'all see Marjorie Taylor Greene and her Make America Great Again? She is styling. Oh, girl, you go, girl.
And alert the American people that this is no ordinary moment either. Not since President Lincoln and the Civil War have freedom and democracy been under assault at home as they are today. What makes our moment rare is that freedom and democracy are under attack both at home and overseas at the very same time. Overseas, Putin of Russia is on the march, invading Ukraine and sowing chaos throughout Europe and beyond. If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. But Ukraine can stop Putin. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that it needs to defend itself. That is all. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers. In fact, there are no American soldiers at war in Ukraine, and I'm determined to keep it that way. But now, assistance to Ukraine is being blocked by those who want to walk away from our world leadership. It wasn't long ago when a Republican president named Ronald Reagan thundered, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Now, my predecessor, a former Republican president, tells Putin, quote, do whatever the hell you want.
Uh-oh, he cussed.
That's a quote. A former president actually said that, bowing down to a Russian leader. I think it's...
Oh, my God. He already getting in on Trump. Who cares? Boo to you.
It's outrageous, it's dangerous, and it's unacceptable. America is a founding member of NATO, the military alliance of democratic nations created after World War II to prevent war and keep the peace. And today, we've made NATO stronger than ever. We welcomed Finland to the alliance last year. And just this morning, Sweden officially joined, and their minister is here tonight. Come here, stand up. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And they know how to fight. Mr. Prime Minister, welcome to NATO, the strongest military alliance the world has ever seen. I say this to Congress, we have to stand up to Putin. Send me a bipartisan national security bill. History is literally watching. History is watching. If the United States walks away, it will put Ukraine at risk. Europe is at risk. The free world will be at risk, emboldening others to do what they wish to do us harm. My message to President Putin, who I've known for a long time, is simple. We will not walk away. We will not bow down. I will not bow down. In a literal sense, history is watching. History is watching. Just like history watched 3 years ago on January 6th, when insurrectionists stormed this very Capitol and placed a dagger to the throat of American democracy. Many of you are here on that darkest of days. We all saw with our own eyes the insurrectionists were not patriots. They'd come to stop the peaceful transfer of power, to overturn the will of the people. January 6th lies about.
So his angle right now, y'all, is to go in on Donald Trump because Donald Trump won a whole bunch of states. And then before that, before y'all saw it, it was like 4 more years. Wow.
The 2020 election and the plots to steal the election posed a gravest threat to U.S. democracy since the Civil War. But they failed. America stood. America stood strong and democracy prevailed. We must be honest. The threat to democracy must be defended. My predecessor and some of you here seek to bury the truth about January 6th. I will not do that. This is the moment to speak the truth and to bury the lies. Here's the simple truth. You can't love your country only when you win.
They're going to say, the 5 is going to say something about what he said. He said, I forgot what he said. Hold on.
As I've done ever since being elected to office, I ask all of you without regard to party to join together and defend democracy. Remember your oath of office of defending against all threats, foreign and domestic. Respect free and fair elections, restore trust in our institutions, and make clear political violence has absolutely no place in America, zero place. Again, it's not hyperbole to suggest history is watching. We're watching. Your children and grandchildren will read about this day and what we do. History is watching another assault on freedom. Joining us tonight is Latoya Beasley, a social worker in Birmingham, Alabama. 14 months ago, she and her husband welcomed a baby girl thanks to the miracle of IVF. She scheduled treatments to have that second child. The Alabama Supreme Court shut down IVF treatments across the state, unleashed by a Supreme Court decision overturning Roe v. Wade. She was told her dream would have to wait. What her family had got through should never have happened. Unless Congress acts, it could happen again. So tonight, let's stand up for families like hers. To my friends across the aisle, don't keep this waiting any longer. Guarantee the right to IVF. Guarantee it nationwide. Like most Americans, I believe Roe v. Wade got it right. I thank Vice President Harris for being an incredible leader, defending reproductive freedom, and so much more. Thank you. My predecessor came to office determined to see Roe v. Wade overturned. He's the reason it was overturned, and he brags about it. Look at the chaos that has resulted. Joining us tonight is Kate Cox, the wife and mother from Dallas. She's become pregnant again and had a fetus of a fatal condition. Her doctor told Kate that her own life and her ability to have children in the future were at risk if she didn't act. Because Texas law banned her ability to act, Kate and her husband had to leave the state to get what she needed. What her family got through should have never happened as well, but it's happening in too many others. There are state laws banning the freedom to choose, criminalizing doctors, forcing survivors of rape and incest to leave their states to get the treatment they need. Many of you in this chamber and my predecessor are promising to pass a national ban on reproductive freedom. My God, what freedom else would you take away? Look, it's a decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The Supreme Court majority wrote the following. With all due respect, justices, women are not without electoral power. Electoral or political power. You're about to realize just how much you get right about. Clearly, those bragging about overturning Roe v. Wade have no clue about the power of women. But they found out when reproductive freedom was on the back.
Number one, the power of women. One lady sat up there and had an abortion on film, and she was being promiscuous. They dogged the holy crap out of her, asking her, why did you get an abortion? She said, well, I was having sex with multiple partners. I do it on a regular. This was on a nationwide television series. Another woman had to grab her baby that was halfway dead. A nurse had to cuddle the baby until the baby died. Do you know what they do when they give abortions? They crush their head. If they're 5 months or 4 months or 3 months, they crush their head and suck out the brains, cave their head in.
We won in 2022 and 2020, and we'll win again in 2024. If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again. Folks, America cannot go back. I'm here tonight to show what I believe is the way forward, because I know how far we come. 4 years ago next week, before I came to office, the country was hit by the worst pandemic and the worst economic crisis in a century. Remember the fear, record losses? Remember the spikes in crime and the murder rate, raging virus that took more than 1 million American lives, of loved ones, millions left behind? A mental health crisis of isolation and loneliness. The president, my predecessor, failed the most basic presidential duty that he owes to American people, the duty to care. I think that's unforgivable. I came to office determined to get us through one of the toughest periods in the nation's history. We have. It doesn't make news, but in 1,000 cities and towns, the American people are writing the greatest comeback story never told. So let's tell the story here. Tell it here and now. America's comeback is building the future of American possibilities, building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down, investing in all America, in all Americans, to make sure everyone has a fair shot. We leave no one behind. The pandemic no longer controls our lives. The vaccines that saved us from COVID are now being used to beat cancer, turning setback into comeback. That's what America does. That's what America does. Folks, my inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record, a record. Unemployment at 50-year lows. A record 16 million Americans are starting small businesses, and each one is a little act of hope. With historic job growth and small business growth for Black and Hispanics and Asian Americans, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs in America and counting. Where is it written we can't be the manufacturing capital of the world? We are, we will. More people have health insurance today. More people have health insurance today than ever before. The racial wealth gap is as small as it's been in 20 years. Wages keep going up, inflation keeps coming down. Inflation has dropped from 9% to 3%, the lowest in the world and tending lower.
Oh my God. Is he just flapping his gums? Inflation, gas is nearly, it's 50 cents off of $5. Some places is $4.99 near the airport. What are you talking about, dude? And they're just clapping at it to everything.
The landing is and will be soft. And now, instead of importing foreign products and exporting American jobs, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs right here in America.
Tell me how many people is going out since the COVID. Everybody is in the house. The only time they go out is during school. So more jobs being brought here, deaths being, why don't we talk about the deaths of America? A 2-year-old boy got shot in the chest with his mother in Washington, D.C. Officers dead because people of different ethnicities shooting. A 12-year-old or 10-year-old girl brutally beaten to the point of no recognition. And raped and killed. And her dad found her.
Where they belong. And it takes time, but the American people are beginning to feel it. Consumer studies show consumer confidence is soaring. Buy America has been the law of the land since the 1930s. Past administrations, including my predecessor, including some Democrats as well in the past, failed to buy America. Not anymore. On my watch, federal projects that you fund, like helping build American roads, bridges, and highways, will be made with American products and built by American workers. Creating good-paying American jobs.
What about the one baby plant we have in America that could, I don't know if it's still closed. Let's look it up real quick. How many baby food plants in America are there? And it's declined. There's 14 manufacturing businesses. So we're getting our baby formula from overseas and we don't know what they're putting in it. If you want to have some babies, and sit up there and get some foreign baby formula, you don't know where it's coming from, go ahead.
And thanks to our CHIPS and Science Act, the United States is investing more in research and development than ever before. During the pandemic, a shortage of semiconductors, chips, that drove...
That's coming from Tokyo. I think it's coming from Tokyo. Let me be sure. Tokyo is creating the most chips, microchips. And that's a good thing. I'm not saying everything he's saying is bad. That's a good thing. Working with Tokyo, Japan.
Up the price of everything from cell phones to automobiles.
Or Taiwan, one of the two.
By the way, we invented those chips right here in America. Well, instead of having to import them, private companies are now investing billions of dollars to build new chip factories here in America, creating tens of thousands of jobs. Many of those jobs paying $100,000 a year and don't require a college degree.
That's good.
In fact, my policies have attracted $650 billion in private sector investment in clean energy, advanced manufacturing, creating tens of thousands of jobs here in America. And thanks to our bipartisan infrastructure law, 46,000 new projects have been announced all across your communities. And by the way, I noticed some of you strongly voted against it, or they're cheering on that money coming in. I like it. I'm with you. I'm with you.
Sharing that money coming in, which means that he's paying them. I'm not gonna say. I'm just gonna keep shut up. I'm just a dumb bumpkin.
If any of you don't want that money in your district, just let me know.
He be telling on himself during the State of the Union.
Modernize our roads and bridges, ports and airports, public transit systems. Removing poisonous lead pipes so every child can drink clean water without risk of brain damage.
Okay, after this commercial, y'all heard of the commercial, the commercial of the Army, I forgot the base, but the base is like, have you experienced cancer? Have you experienced cancer and any other known substances that, because of the water in the damaged water within the base itself? It happened in the 70s and stuff. Yeah. Now they're yeah. What about the people that are in the ghetto? They gotta buy their water and get water from different things. Like I think it's BS.
Providing affordable high-speed internet for every American, no matter where you live.
Oh my God, he should have been did this. There are people literally in rural areas that don't get Wi-Fi at all. No Wi-Fi, no cell phone reception, no nothing.
Urban, suburban, or rural communities in red states and blue states. Record investments in tribal communities. Because of my investment in a family farm, because I invested in family farms led by my Secretary of Agriculture, who knows more about this than anybody I know, we're better able to stay in the family for those farms and their children and grandchildren won't have to leave home to make a living. It's transformative. A great comeback story is Belvedere, Illinois, home to an auto plant for nearly 60 years. Before I came to office, the plant was on its way to shutting down. Thousands of workers feared for their livelihoods. Hope was fading. Then I was elected to office and we raised the Belvedere repeatedly with auto companies knowing unions would make all the difference. The UAW worked like hell to keep the plant open and get these jobs back, and together we succeeded. Instead of auto factories shutting down, auto factories reopening, and new state-of-the-art battery factories being built to power those cars there at the same. Folks, the folks of Belvedere, I say, instead of your town being left behind, your community is moving forward again. Because instead of watching auto jobs of the future go overseas, 4,000 union jobs with higher wages are building the future in Belvedere right here in America.
Belvedere, Maryland.
Here tonight, is UAW President Shawn Fain, a great friend and a great labor leader. Shawn, where are you? Stand up. And Dawn Sims, a third generation worker, UAW worker at Belvedere. Shawn, I was proud to be the first president to stand on the picket line. And today, Dawn has a good job in her hometown, providing stability for her family and pride and dignity as well. Showing once again, Wall Street didn't build America. They're not bad guys. They didn't build it, though. The middle class built the country, and unions built the middle class.
What about the lower class that want to be middle class or upper class? The 1 to 2% of lower class that want to get better and become middle class or upper class. What about those people? And they're part white too. You know, they're white, black, and even American Hispanics. They're trying to get out of poverty every day. What about making businesses easier?
I say to the American people, when America gets knocked down, we get back up. We keep going. That's America. That's you, the American people. It's because of you America's coming back. It's because of you our future is bright. It's because of you that tonight,
Spending all that money on Ukraine, I would say, yeah, it's because of us.
we can proudly say the state of our union is strong and getting stronger.
How's it getting stronger? Tell me how it's getting stronger. Any of y'all out there watching, please give me a clue, throw me a bone, something. How is it getting stronger? We're getting weaker. Just like I said before, children are dying, people are getting stabbed. There is a war going on within America. Look at all those people in the audience that are Democrats. They're getting protected by the cartel. To my knowledge, this is how I feel. I'm not saying that's a fact, but it must be some relevance in it if they're getting stronger. How are we getting stronger when there's women being raped, women being followed, robberies, children deaths, rape of children, robbery, robbery. A man from that used to work for President Donald Trump gets shot in the head by an immigrant. An NYPD officer, they don't care, from a gang related place, beat up two officers, and they couldn't even, it would have been against the law to pull out their weapons and just shoot them.
Tonight, I want to talk about the future of possibilities that we can build together. A future where the days of trickle-down economics are over, and the wealthy and the biggest corporations no longer get all the tax breaks. And by the way, I understand corporations. I come from a state that has more corporations invested than every one of your states in the United States combined. And I represented it for 36 years. I'm not anti-corporation, but I grew up in a home where trickle-down economics didn't put much on my dad's kitchen table. That's why I determined to turn things around.
Okay, I read about him. Has anybody read about Biden's background? Biden come from a middle class family. He was born into wealth. He was born into wealth. I read that in the White House documentary bio about him. I didn't read much, but I read some. So how is he saying it didn't put much food on the table? He's just going off subject.
The class does well. When they do well, the poor go way up and the wealthy still do very well. We all
Anybody with a piano back in the day when Biden was young who had pianos come from wealth. Come from wealth. He had a piano. You can't afford pianos these days either.
do well. And there's more to do to make sure you're feeling the benefits of all we're doing. Americans pay more for prescription drugs than anywhere in the world.
Why are we still talking about prescription drugs? Why not just sit up there and reduce them and just say F it, reduce them? Why is there a big puzzle? Well, we got to do it this way. What are we going to do tonight, brain? Try to take over the world.
It's wrong, and I'm ending it.
But what about Obamacare? How's that Obamacare treating you, Democrats? You know, the ones that don't have money, that's Democratic. How's that Obama $500 premiums? Yeah, that's a Tesla payment.
For the law that I proposed and signed, not one of you.
But he's going against Obama. We have Obamacare. He was vice president while Obama was president. Obama came out with Obamacare. And now, let's see.
Republican buddies voted for it. We finally beat Big Pharma. Instead of paying $400 a month or thereabouts for insulin, diabetes,
$400 a month for insulin when you need it. You're diabetic. Thank God I'm a veteran. Because if I wasn't a veteran, we would need Medicare. Oh, or Medicaid. Oh, do you know he's trying to stop that? Social Security is connected to that. He's trying to sunset Social Security. So in a couple of years, if he's president again, there will be no more Social Security. No more elderly getting Social Security. He's just trying to phase it out.
It's $10 to make. They only get paid $35 a month now and still make a healthy profit. And I want to, but what to do next? I want to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for every American who needs it. Everyone. For years, people have talked about it, but finally we got it done. We gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices on prescription drugs, just like the VA is able to do for veterans. That's not just saving seniors money, it's saving taxpayers money. We cut the federal deficit by $160 billion. Because Medicare will no longer have to pay those exorbitant prices to Big Pharma. This year, Medicare is negotiating lower prices for some of the costliest drugs on the market to treat everything from heart disease to arthritis. It's now time to go.
What if we didn't have these diseases, heartburn or whatever, myocardial infarctions, which is heart attacks? You have to take pills to help ease heart attacks if you have a heart attack. You know, all these problems America face. You know, we have all these research centers. 1% of breakthroughs get through. Why don't we place our focus on attention on trying to get things curable versus get things that have short-term effects? Why every drug have to have a short-term effect? Why can't there be drugs that have one shot, one kill, a long-term effect? It's like it's prolonging our life when we could be taking one pill that helps prolong longevity.
Further and give Medicare the power to negotiate lower prices for 500 different drugs over the next decade.
500 different drugs for the next decade. That ain't nothing.
They're making a lot of money, guys. And they'll still be extremely profitable. Will not only save lives, it will save taxpayers another $200 billion. Starting next year, the same law caps total prescription drug costs for seniors on Medicare at $2,000 a year, even for expensive cancer drugs that cost $10,000, $12,000, $15,000. I want to cap prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year for everyone. Folks, I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, but if you want to get an Air Force One and fly to Toronto, Berlin.
I plan on going to the Aerospace Museum and getting into Air Force One, the JFK Air Force One.
In Moscow, excuse me, even Moscow, probably. And bring your prescription with you, and I promise you I'll get it for you for 40% the cost you're paying now. Same company, same drug, same place. Folks, the Affordable Care Act, the old Obamacare, is still a very big deal.
It's what's funding. That's all taxpayers, hard-earned money, corporate world, companies, big business, small business that's not affiliated with the government. It's going there. It's going towards that good old Obamacare. I'm not saying I hate Obama. I'm not downing him, but the cost is too much. And it's for mostly Black people that can't afford it. I tried to go get Obamacare and she said the premium was $460 something. So who is getting all this money?
Over 100 million of you can no longer be denied health insurance because of pre-existing condition. Well, my predecessor, many in this chamber, want to take this prescription drug away.
They're doing phases of this. They're doing phases and new chapters. So what I see and for the future is that if he say that they're going to make it easier to get Obamacare, then what he's going to do is he's going to put in a different phase of law or a different thing that he's going to do that's going to gain more money and more momentum and get him more money, the government.
By repealing Affordable Care Act. I'm not going to let that happen. We stopped you 50 times before, and we'll stop you again. In fact, I'm not only protecting it, I'm expanding it. We enacted tax credits of $800 per person per year, reduce healthcare costs for millions of working families. That tax credit expires next year. I want to make that savings permanent.
I thought we were talking about Obamacare. He didn't do nothing about Obamacare. So $450 to my Black people. Okay, power to the Black people. Y'all supporting this. Y'all hard-earned money for very minimum you getting coverage for. There's certain doctors you can go to. There's certain doctors you cannot go to. I know how it works. I'm just trying to protect you.
To state the obvious, women are more than half our population, but research on women's health has always been underfunded. That's why we're launching the first ever White House initiative on women's health research, led by Jill, doing an incredible job as First Lady.
When Joe Biden first became president, Vice President Kamala Harris was doing research. So now it's switched to Kamala Harris to Joe Biden.
To pass pass my plan for $12 billion to transfer women's health research and benefit millions of lives all across America. I know the cost of housing is so important to you. If inflation keeps coming down, mortgage rates will come down as well, and the Fed acknowledges that. But I'm not waiting.
When is inflation coming down, y'all? Y'all look that up.
I want to provide an annual tax credit that will give Americans $400 a month for the next 2 years as mortgage rates come down, to put toward their mortgages when they buy their first home.
Bribing. I see bribing.
Or trade up for a little more space.
Still not enough. You at least got to give these American people $1,200 to $3,000. Do something big. $400 a month. $400 a month. That's nothing. That's 4 $100 bills. 4 $100 bills. 16 $20 bills. That's nothing.
Just for 2 years. And my administration is also eliminating title insurance on federally backed mortgages. When you refinance your home, you can save $1,000 or more as a consequence. For millions of renters, we're cracking down on big landlords who use antitrust law, who break antitrust laws by price fixing and driving up rents. We've cut red tape.
Okay, it's about time. That's all I'm going to say.
So builders can get federally financing, which is already helping build a record 1.7 million new housing units nationwide. Now pass.
What about the border?
Now pass and build and renovate 2 million affordable homes and bring those rents down. To remain the strongest economy in the world, we need to have the best education system in the world.
I can't wait. You know, children in Seattle are walking home, middle class children, middle school children, elementary students that don't have enough bus funding for that. So they're walking home and getting stopped by homeless people that's carrying weapons, robbing them for their school money, robbing them, Biden. So what do you have to say about this?
And I suspect all of you, want to give every child, a good start by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old. You know, I think I pointed out last year.
We have Head Start. He's just re-saying we have Head Start for 3 and 4 year olds.
I think I pointed out last year that children coming from broken homes where there's no books, they're not read to, not spoken to very often, start school, kindergarten, or first grade, having heard.
Not true. Welfare mothers, they kick their children out right into Head Start. That's not true. You don't know them.
1 million fewer words spoken. Well, studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school, go on to earn a 2 and 4 year degree, no matter what their background is. I met a year and a half ago with the leaders of the Business Roundtable. They were mad that they were angry. I said, well, they were discussing why I wanted to spend money on education. I pointed out to them as vice president, I met with over 182 of those folks. Don't hold me to the exact number. And I asked them what they need most, the CEOs. And you've had the same experience on both sides now. They say a better educated workforce, right? So I looked at them and I say, I come from Delaware. DuPont used to be the 8th largest corporation in the world. And every new enterprise they bought, they educated the workforce to that enterprise. But none of you do that anymore. Why are you angry with me providing you the opportunity for the best educated workforce in the world? And they all looked at me and said, I think you're right. I want to expand high quality tutoring and summer learning to see that every child learns to read by third grade.
How is this going to work if they're getting robbed in Seattle? This is a fairy tale acquisition. How is that going to work when we have crime going on in America, President Biden? They have to hide their books in a pizza box. Now they really do have to hide their books in a pizza box. You know, they'll steal anything. They probably steal a history book, go to the pawn shop and try to pawn it, or take it back at Walmart.
Hey. I'm also connecting local businesses and high schools so students get hands-on experience and a path to good paying job, whether or not they go to college. And I want to make sure the college is more affordable. Let's continue increasing the Pell Grants to working and middle-class families and increase record investment.
Not true. My Pell Grant, I could have went one more year to school for my Pell Grant, but they were asking me to actually stop what I was doing. Like, it's a long story, but I'll put it to you like this. They forgave all my loans, and now they're telling me I need a doctor's note, and that hinders me from getting the rest of the little bit of Pell Grant. I use most of it, so I'm okay with it, and I get VA benefits now. But I am so upset with that. I am so upset with that. And then on top of that, you know, Pell Grant has been only 68 or 3,800 a year or every semester, which is traditionally 16 weeks. It has not changed since the 80s, folks, just to let you know.
In HBCUs, a minority serving institution, including Hispanic institutions. When I was told I couldn't universally just change the way in which we dealt with student loans, I fixed 2 student loan programs that already existed to reduce the burden of student debt for nearly 4 million Americans, including nurses, firefighters, and others in public service. Like Keenan Jones, a public educator from Minnesota, who's here with us tonight. Keenan, where are you? Keenan, thank you. He's educated hundreds of students so they can go to college. Now he's able to help, after debt forgiveness, get his own daughter to college. And folks, look, such relief is good for the economy because folks are now able to buy a home, start a business, start a family.
Tell me how you're able to start a business. Tell me, like, he has not once talked about the ways to start a business. Tell me, how do lower class and middle class start these businesses that doesn't know what's going on, have no idea? And then the fentanyl in Seattle.
I want you public school teachers a raise.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's like a boxing match. He was saving that round bout for the last. I want to see what he got to say for the teachers out there that are getting these rinky dink brand new apartments that is like 700 square feet and getting low incomes to where they have to work 2 jobs. Tell me, what do you plan on doing? Don't go off the subject. Let's see what you're going to bribe them about. You better say something that's worthwhile.
By the way, the first couple of years we cut the deficit.
Oh my God. He has not, he switched the subject, y'all. He switched do you see what he's doing? What's the plan?
Now, let me speak to the question of fundamental fairness for all Americans. I've been delivering real results in fiscally responsible ways. We've already cut the federal deficit. Over $1 trillion.
Most of that money went to Ukraine. Most of that money went to Ukraine.
I signed the bipartisan deal. Cut another $1 trillion in the next.
If y'all don't know what bipartisan is, that's both Democrat and Republican that agreed to that deal. I didn't know what it meant, but now I do. I don't know all of the lingo, but I mean that is both Republican and Democrats signed a bipartisan deal.
It's my goal to cut the federal deficit another $3 trillion by making big corporations and very wealthy finally beginning to pay their fair share.
He said that last year. Did he do that for this year? No. He's saying basically he's robbing us in a big with a package with a big bow on it, saying, if you don't vote for me, you won't get this. It's still gonna be crime, but you won't get this.
Look, I'm a capitalist. You want to make or can make a million or millions of bucks, that's great. Just pay your fair share in taxes. A fair tax code is how we invest things to make this country great. Healthcare, education, defense, and so much more. But here's the deal.
He's about to lie. When he said, here's the deal, he's about to lie.
The administration enacted a $2 trillion tax cut. Overwhelmingly benefit the topping 1%, the very wealthy, and the biggest corporations, and exploded the federal deficit. They added more to the national debt than any president.
He's talking about Trump. But if you mix all the presidents together in one, all the bad presidents, that is, like Donald Trump said, you'll get President Biden. And I'm not saying that in a bashful way. I'm saying that to say that he has not listened to nobody. His blood, those children blood is on his hands. Those children blood is on his hands.
It's a term in American history. Check the numbers. Folks at home, does anybody really think the tax code is fair? Do you really think the wealthy and big corporations need another $2 trillion tax break?
Then why won't you lower gas? You got the power to lower gas. You have the power to lower gas. You have the power to lower housing. You have the power to lower milk and bread and eggs. Why won't you do that, President Biden? But you're worried about the corporations. It's like a curtain that he's trying to, a wool. He's trying to, the sheep and the wolf. He's trying to talk about that stuff to get your mind off of other stuff, to make it seem like Trump is a bad person.
I sure don't. I'm going to keep fighting like hell to make it fair. Under my plan, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay additional penny in federal taxes. Nobody, not one penny. And they haven't yet. In fact, the child tax credit I passed during the pandemic cut taxes for millions of working families and cut child poverty in half.
What it did was the welfare workers, they would get a job for like 6 or 7 months working at Burger King. And they've been doing, the Democrats been doing this for a while. They did the child tax credit, and now like they'll work for like 7 months, have like 6 kids, and sit up there, and then all of a sudden after they do that, they get like $10,000 or more back on their taxes, and then they do it all over again, buy a cheap raggedy car, and then the car stalls out by August. They don't invest in a business. Their mindset is just messed up. Drinking natural ices and Bud Lights and Coors Light or whatever, just drinking constantly, smoking weed, doing drugs. Their minds are warped. All they worried about is a temporary fix. Work 7 months, quit, and then go to the job and quit, and then get their tax money, $10,000, have like 6 or 7 children. I know a woman who did this. I was growing up with her. She had 8, 9 kids, no lie. She would drink constantly. She drank while she was pregnant. She was such a bad person. And then all of a sudden, she gets $10,000 back, buy a van. The van conks out by June or July. Those little images you see on Facebook that talks about that stuff is real and it's still happening.
Restore that child tax credit. No child should go hungry in this country. The way to make the tax.
Oh, in the food stamps, let's not talk about what people are doing with the food stamps. They sell their money, they sell their food stamps for money.
Code fair.
And the child goes hungry. The child goes hungry anyway because they're selling their food stamps for food, for money, for crack money or fentanyl money.
To make big corporations, the very wealthy, begin to pay their fair share. Remember in 2020, 55 of the biggest companies in America made $40 billion and paid zero in federal income tax. Zero. Not anymore. Thanks to the law I wrote and we signed, big companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. But that's still less than working people pay in federal taxes. It's time to raise corporate minimum tax to at least 21%. So every big corporation finally.
And if he's president, where does those taxes go? It goes back to the government, and he get richer, and he gets richer. That's how it works. And then they get a cut, and everybody that's in on it, they get a cut from passing that bill that is being scandalous with it.
Begins to pay their fair share. I also want to end tax breaks for big pharma, big oil, private jets, massive executive pay when it's only supposed to be $1 million. It can be deducted. They can pay them $20 million if they want, but deduct $1 million. End it now. You know, there are 1,000 billionaires in America. You know what the average federal tax is for those billionaires? No. They're making great sacrifices, 8.2%. That's far less than the vast majority of Americans pay. No billionaire should pay a lower federal tax rate than a teacher, a sanitation worker, or a nurse. I propose a minimum tax for billionaires of 25%, just 25%. You know what that would?
Well, that would be okay for Obama. Not trying to bash him. I'm just saying that would be okay, 25%, because he's a billionaire. There's still some presidents that have money that we don't even know about in different accounts. But I'll say this. He paid 25% because he stays in Martha Vineyard. He has to be a billionaire. So he got the Obamacare to back up his 25%. And he'd be getting paid off of Obamacare for life, as long as Obamacare is in act. Don't y'all get it?
That would raise $500 billion over the next 10 years. And imagine what that could do for America. Imagine a future with affordable.
What? It's going to go to Ukraine?
Child care. Millions of families can get they need to go to work to help grow the economy. Imagine a future with paid leave, because no one should have to choose between working and taking care of their sick family member. Imagine the future of home care and elder care, and people living with disabilities, so they can stay in their homes and family caregivers can finally get the pay they deserve. Tonight, let's all agree once again to stand up for seniors. Many of my friends on the other side of the aisle want to put Social Security on the chopping block. If anyone here tries to cut Social Security, Medicare, or raise the retirement age, I will stop you.
He said last year he was sunsetting Social Security. Now he's twisting his words. And the 5 is a news NBC or NBC news channel, and I know they're going to talk about this. His conflicting paragraphs from last year to now.
The working people who built this country pay more into Social Security than millionaires and billionaires do. It's not fair. We have 2 ways to go. Republicans can cut Social Security and give more tax breaks to the wealthy. That's the proposal. Oh no, you guys don't want another $2 trillion tax cut? I kind of thought that's what your plan was.
See how he's down in Republicans?
Well, that's good to hear. You're not going to cut another $2 trillion for the super wealthy. That's good to hear. I'll protect and strengthen Social Security and make the wealthy pay their fair share. Look, too many corporations raise prices to pad their profits, charging more and more for less and less. That's why we're cracking down on corporations engaged in price gouging and deceptive pricing, from food to healthcare to housing. In fact, the snack companies think you won't notice if they change the size of the bag and put a hell of a lot fewer, same size bag, put fewer chips in it. No, I'm not joking. It's called shrinkflation. Pass Bobby Casey's bill and stop this. I really mean it. You probably all saw that commercial on Snickers bars. You get charged the same amount, and you got about, 10% fewer Snickers in it. Look, I'm also getting rid of junk.
We're talking about Snickers bars. We're talking about Snickers bars. And the border and people are dying every day by illegal immigrants. Hate to say. And we're talking about Snickers bars and corporations.
Fees. Those hidden fees at the end of your bill that are there without your knowledge. My administration announced we're cutting credit card late fees from $32 to $8. Banks and credit card companies are allowed to charge what it costs them to instigate the collection. And that's more, a hell of a lot, like $8.30 They don't like it. Credit card companies don't like it. And I'm saving American families $20 billion a year with all the junk fees I'm eliminating. Folks at home, that's why the banks are so mad, is $20 billion in profit. I'm not stopping there. My administration proposed rules to make cable, travel, utilities, and online ticket sellers tell you the total price up front, so there are no surprises.
Oh, we're talking about cable and online ticketing, and we're not talking about the border. This is crazy. How can all of this mesh together when citizens are dying?
It matters. It matters. And so does this. In November, my team began serious negotiation with a bipartisan group of senators. The result was a bipartisan bill with the toughest set of border security reforms we've ever seen. Oh, you don't think so?
You see, the Republicans already going ham. You see?
Oh, you don't like that bill, huh? that conservatives got together and said it was a good bill? I'll be darned. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That bipartisan bill would hire 1,500 more security agents and officers, 100 more immigration judges to help tackle the backload of 2 million cases, 4,300 more asylum officers, and new policies so they can resolve cases in 6 months instead of 6 years now. What are you against? 100 more high-tech drug detection machines to significantly increase the ability
what about the border?
to screen and stop vehicles smuggling fentanyl into America. That's killing thousands of children. This bill would save lives and bring order to the border. It will also give me and any new president new emergency authority to temporarily shut down the border when the number of migrants at the border is overwhelming. The Border Patrol Union has endorsed this bill. The Federal Chamber of Commerce is, yeah. You're saying no, look at the facts. I know you know how to read. I believe that given the opportunity for a majority in the House and Senate would endorse the bill as well, a majority right now. But unfortunately, politics has derailed this bill so far. I'm told my predecessor called members of Congress in the Senate to demand they block the bill. He feels political win. He viewed it as a political win for me and political loser for him. It's not about him. It's not about me. I'd be a winner.
Why don't he just say he was wrong what he did by letting illegals come in and terrorize and kill our citizens?
Not really. Lincoln Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. That's right.
He basically uses when people die, when Trump talks about people dying, it's different than when Biden talks about them dying. He used them to make himself look like he cares, but he has no care in the world. He just and when they're black, that's even better. He uses them to make it seem like, oh, I love the black people. They strategically do this to make it seem like they care about us, and they don't. Trump does. He created the platinum plan. Look it up. And he was going to build on it.
But how many of thousands of people being killed by illegals? To her parents, I say, my heart goes out to you, having lost children myself. I understand. But look, if we change
Why there shouldn't even be a but.
the dynamic at the border, people pay these smugglers $8,000 to get across the border because they know if they get by and let into the country, it's 6 to 8 years before they have a hearing. And it's worth taking the chance of the $8,000. But if it's only 6 months, 6 weeks, the idea is it's highly unlikely that people will pay that money and come all that way, knowing that they'll be able to be kicked out quickly. Folks, I would respectfully suggest my Republican friends owe it to the American people, get this bill done. We need to act now.
See how he always throwing it off on Republicans? I don't think they should take this deal because there's nothing talking about building a wall. His ego is so messed up that he can't just agree to build a wall. That will solve the whole problem.
And if my predecessor is watching, instead of paying politics and pressuring members of Congress to block the bill, join me in telling the Congress to pass it. We can do it together, but But apparently, here's what he will not do. I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Did y'all hear that? You see what I'm saying? Think, oh my God. Oh my God. What is it? Vote for President Biden next year.
I will not separate
Everybody that's clapping is protected by them, and it shows.
families. I will not ban people because of their faith. Unlike my predecessor on my first day in office, I introduced a comprehensive bill to fix our immigration system. Take a look at it. It has all these and more. Secure the border, provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, and so much more. But unlike my predecessor, I know who we are as Americans. We're the only nation in the world with a heart and soul that draws from old and new. Home to Native Americans and ancestors have been here for thousands.
It's very obvious that him and the Mexican president probably have some sort of agreement to allow this to happen. There's some underlying costs. Like when Trump was president, he said he stopped funding because there's funding that goes to Mexico. Now it's probably in reverse where the funding is going to America to have immigrants come over, illegal immigrants come over and kill our citizens.
Thousands of years. Home to people of every place from every place on earth. They came freely. Some came in chains. Some came when famine struck, like my ancestral family in Ireland. Some to flee persecution, to chase dreams that are impossible anywhere but here in America. That's America. And we all come from somewhere, but we're all Americans. Look, folks, we have a simple choice. We can fight about fixing the border, or we can fix it. I'm ready to fix it. Send me the border bill now. A transformational moment in history happened 59 years ago today in Selma, Alabama. Hundreds of foot soldiers for justice marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, named after the Grand Dragon of the Ku Klux Klan, to claim their fundamental right to vote. They were beaten, they were bloody, and left for dead. Our late friend and former colleague, John Lewis, was on that march. We miss him. But joining us tonight are other marchers, both in the gallery and on the floor, including Betty Mae Fikes, known as the voice of Selma, the daughter of gospel singers and preachers. She sang songs of prayer and protest on that bloody Sunday to help shake the nation's conscience. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act passed and was signed into law. Thank you.
See what I'm saying? Another pawn.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. But 59 years later, where forces taking us back in time, voter suppression, election subversion, unlimited dark money, extreme gerrymandering. John Lewis was a great friend to many of us here. But if you truly want to honor him and all the heroes who marched with him, then it's time to do more than talk. Pass the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. and stop denying another core value of America, our diversity across American life. Banning books, it's wrong. Instead of erasing history, let's make history. I want to protect fundamental rights. Pass the Equality Act. And my message to transgender Americans, I have your back. Pass the PRO Act for workers' rights. Raise the federal minimum wage, because every worker has a right to a decent living, more than $7 an hour.
Why is it taking so long for this to happen? Ask yourself this. Why? Because it's election time. Just point blank, period.
We're also making history by confronting the climate crisis, not denying it. I don't think any of you think there's no longer a climate crisis. At least I hope you do. I'm taking the most significant action ever on climate in the history of the world. I'm cutting our carbon emissions in half by 2030, creating tens of thousands of clean energy jobs, like the IBW workers building and installing 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Conserving 30% of America's lands and waters by 2030. Taking action on environmental justice, fence line communities smothered by the legacy of pollution. Pattern after the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps, I launched the Climate Corps to put 20,000 young people to work in the forefront of our clean energy future. I'll triple that number in a decade. To state the obvious, all Americans deserve the freedom to be safe. And America is safer today than when I took office.
Oh my God. I can't believe he is saying this.
Year before I took office, murder rates went up 30%. 30% they went up. The biggest increase in history. It was then, through my American Rescue Plan, which every American voted against, I might add, we made the largest investment in public safety ever. Last year, the murder rate saw the sharpest decrease in history. Violent crime fell to one of its lowest levels of more than 50.
He's hiding. You know, some schools, when children getting into fights, when children get into fights, they hide the statistics so it'll look good for their schools. That's a fact. This is what he's doing right now.
Years. But we have more to do. We have to help cities invest in more community police officers, more mental health workers, more community violence intervention.
Why didn't you say this at the last State of the Union?
Give communities the tool to crack down on gun crime, retail crime, and carjacking.
How can we do that when you allowing people to come across our border and they're doing it too? It's bad enough that there's white people and black people that are doing this, but now you have illegal immigrants that are doing it and skimming. They're skimming cards. I posted it on my webpage. Walmart money card, Walmart cards are being targeted. Credit cards being targeted. You swipe your credit card, they ask you to swipe it 3 times, and you try to swipe it over and over. And they take your credit card information and develop your credit card through their app.
Keep building trust, as I've been doing by taking executive action on police reform and calling for it to be the law of the land. Directing my cabinet to review the federal classification of marijuana and expunging thousands of convictions for the mere possession, because no one should be jailed for simply using or having on their record.
That's fine, but I'm going to be honest. Marijuana causes schizophrenia. I'm doing so much better without it. So much better. It causes it like a manic episode, and seriously, it's not worth it.
take on crimes of domestic violence.
One Republican has been trying to pass the bill to increase the age because our brains aren't developed to at least 21, but they continue to leave the age at 18.
I'm ramping up the federal enforcement of the Violence Against Women Act that I proudly wrote when I was a senator, so we can finally end the scourge against women in America.
What about the woman that was stalked, a white woman that was stalked by an African American male, and another white woman that was stalked by a legal immigrant and strangled and threw in a dumpster? Just strangled, threw in a dumpster. Like she leave behind her kids and everything.
There are other kinds of violence I want to stop. With us tonight is Jasmine. His 9-year-old sister Jackie was murdered with 21 classmates and teachers in an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Very soon after that happened, Jill and I went to Uvalde for a couple of days. We spent hours and hours with each of the families. We heard their message, so everyone in this room, in this chamber, could hear the same message. A constant refrain, and I would say for hours, meeting with every family. They said, do something. Do something.
I'm sorry. This is not right what he's doing. He's using those families.
Well, I did do something by establishing the first ever Office of Gun Violence Prevention in the White House, with the Vice President leading the charge. Thank you for doing it. Meanwhile, my predecessor told the NRA he's proud he did nothing on guns when he was president. After another shooting in Iowa recently, he said, when asked what to do about it, he said, just get over it.
Here we go. He's using Trump again. You know, we need protection. Don't you have 5 snipers at your beachfront house, right? 5 snipers with assault rifles, right, at your beachfront house, which you had an upgrade and it cost $500,000 of you all's taxpayer money. You all's taxpayer money. Just in case something goes wrong.
His quote, just get over it. I say, stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it.
A white man, 73 years old. I think his name is John Kelly. He was in Phoenix, Arizona. He was in Arizona, a part of Arizona near the Mexico border. An illegal was coming across the border. He shot him, killed him. They sent him to California, where he is still in jail. He is still in jail. Then all he wanted to do was protect his wife and his cattle. He stayed on the farm. Then 2 Mexicans, they scratched the surface. They sat up there and they took their fingers. Now imagine this, close your eyes for a second and imagine this. They took their fingers and they stuck it down a 2-year-old's throat, strangling her, sticking their fingers down her throat. There was lacerations all through her throat. She died. She threw up purple stuff. Some churches said it was the work of God. Some churches said this is abomination, but they got out. They went to jail. It was 2 uncles and the mother.
I'm proud we beat the NRA when I signed the most significant gun safety law in nearly 30 years because of this Congress. We now must beat the NRA again. I'm demanding a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Yes, universal background checks. None of this. None of this. I taught the Second Amendment for 12 years. None of this violates the Second Amendment or vilifies responsible gun owners. You know, as we manage challenges at home, we're also managing crises abroad, including in the Middle East. I know the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching for so many people, for the Israeli people, for the Palestinian people, and so many here in America. This crisis began on October 7th with a massacre by a terrorist group called Hamas, as you all know. 1,200 innocent people, women and girls, men and boys, slaughtered after enduring sexual violence. The deadliest day for the Jewish people since the Holocaust. And 250 hostages taken. Here in this chamber tonight are families whose loved ones are still being held by Hamas. I pledge to all the families that we will not rest until we bring every one of your loved ones home. We also work around the clock to bring home Evan and Paul, Americans being unjustly detained by the Russians and others around the world. Israel has the right to go after Hamas. Hamas ended this conflict by releasing hostages, laying down arms, could end it by releasing the hostages, laying down arms, and surrendering those responsible for October 7th. But Israel has Israel has an added burden as Hamas hides and operates among the civilian population like cowards under hospitals, daycare centers, and all the like. Israel also has a fundamental responsibility, though, to protect innocent civilians in Gaza. This war has taken a greater toll on innocent civilians than all previous wars in Gaza combined. More than 30,000 Palestinians have been killed, most of whom are not Hamas. Thousands and thousands of innocent women and children, girls and boys, also orphaned. Nearly 2 million more Palestinians under bombardment or displacement. Homes destroyed, neighbors in rubble, cities in ruin, families without food, water, medicine. It's heartbreaking. I've been working nonstop to establish an immediate ceasefire that will last for 6 weeks to get all the prisoners released, all the hostages released, to get the hostages home and ease the intolerable and humanitarian crisis and build toward an enduring, something more enduring. The United States is leading international efforts to get more humanitarian assistance to Gaza. Tonight, I'm directing the U.S. military to lead an emergency mission to establish a temporary pier in the Mediterranean on the coast of Gaza that can receive large shipments carrying food, water, medicine, and temporary shelter. No U.S. boots will be on the ground. A temporary pier will enable a massive increase in the amount of humanitarian assistance getting into Gaza every day. And Israel must do its part. Israel must allow more aid into Gaza to ensure humanitarian workers aren't caught in the crossfire. They're announcing they're going to have a crossing in northern Gaza. To the leadership of Israel, I say this: humanitarian assistance cannot be a secondary consideration or a bargaining chip. Protecting and saving innocent lives has to be a priority. As we look to the future, the only real solution to the situation is a two-state solution over time. And I say this as a lifelong supporter of Israel. My entire career, no one has a stronger record with Israel than I do. I challenge any of you here. I'm the only American president of Israel in wartime. But there is no other path that guarantees Israel's security and democracy. There is no other path that guarantees Palestinians can live in peace with peace and dignity. There's no other path that guarantees peace between Israel and all of its neighbors, including Saudi Arabia, with whom I'm talking. Creating stability in the Middle East also means containing the threat posed by Iran. That's why I built a coalition of more than a dozen countries to defend international shipping and freedom of navigation in the Red Sea. I've ordered strikes to degrade the Houthi capability and defend U.S. forces in the region. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not hesitate to direct further measures to protect our people and our military personnel. For years, I've heard many of my Republican and Democratic friends say that China is on the rise and America's falling behind. They've got it backwards. I've been saying it for over 4 years, even when I wasn't president. America's rising. We have the best economy in the world. And since I've come to office, our GDP is up, our trade deficit with China is down to the lowest point in over a decade.
Okay. He is so conflicting. Last year at the State of the Union, he said he would rather, there's no other president he would rather be than President Z. Then he said Social Security was sunsetting. I have to show y'all this. I can't, cause word of mouth, it's over. I don't want to see no more. And they may not show it. And then after, there's no other president I want to be. No. Now it's hard. State of the Union, President Z. Where is it at? No. Now they're not showing it. Hold on. Highlights from State of the Union 2023. Here we go. And then I'm going to bed.
2 years ago, COVID had shut down, our businesses were closed, our schools were robbed of so much. And today, COVID no longer controls our lives. And 2 years ago, democracy faced its greatest threat to the Civil War. And today, though bruised, our democracy remains unbowed and unbroken. I think the people sent us a clear message. Fighting for the sake of fighting, power for the sake of power, conflict for the sake of conflict gets us nowhere. We're going to make sure the supply chain for America begins in America. The supply chain begins in America. We've already created 800,000 new manufacturing jobs without this law, before the law kicks in. With this new law, we're going to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country. And I mean all across the country. We're seeing these field of dreams transform to the heartland. But to maintain the strongest economy in the world, we need the best infrastructure in the world. And folks, as you all know, we used to be #1 in the world in infrastructure. We've sunk to 13th in the world. The United States of America, 13th in the world in infrastructure, modern infrastructure. But now we're coming back because we came together and passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, the largest investment in infrastructure since President Eisenhower's interstate highway system. And I mean it sincerely. I want to thank my Republican friends who voted for the law, and my Republican friends who voted against it as well. But I still get asked to fund the projects in those districts as well. But don't worry. I promised I'd be a president for all Americans. We'll fund these projects. And I'll see you at the groundbreaking. Buy America has been the law since 1933, but for too long, past administrations, Democrat and Republican, have fought to get around it. Not anymore. Tonight, I'm announcing new standards require all construction materials used in federal infrastructure projects to be made in America. But every day, millions need insulin to control their diabetes so they can literally stay alive. Insulin's been around for over 100 years. The guy who invented it didn't even patent it because he wanted it to be available for everyone. It costs the drug companies roughly $10 a vial to make that insulin. Package it and all, you may get up to $13. But Big Pharma has been unfairly charging people hundreds of dollars, $400 to $500 a month, making record profits. Not anymore. The drug prices rise faster than inflation. Drug companies are going to have to pay Medicare.
I'm trying. I don't have time to watch all this.
We're finally giving Medicare the power to negotiate drug prices. Bringing down prescription drug costs doesn't just save seniors money. Now some members here are threatening, and I know it's not an official party position, so I'm not going to exaggerate, but threatening to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. As my coach, that's okay, that's fair. As my football coach used to say, lots of luck in your senior year. Make no mistake, if you try anything to raise the cost of producing jobs, I will veto it. Have you noticed? Big Oil just reported its profits, record profits. Last year they made 200 invest in it. I said, we're going to need oil for at least another decade. Profits to buy back their own stock, rewarding the CEOs and shareholders. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion. You know, it means if Congress doesn't keep the programs, Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant.
I want to show y'all one lesson.
But it's being
I got it
proposed
wrong.
by individuals. I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you.
Okay. Real quick. I have to do one more thing. I want to show y'all one more thing. I got it wrong, but he's trying to blame it on the Republicans.
Mr. President, after today. After today, and considering all that you've been through in the past year, would you say, Mr. President, that you trust President Xi?
Do I trust you? I trust but verify, as that old saying goes. That's where I am. I think I know the man. I know his modus operandi. He's been, we have disagreements. He has a different view than I have on a lot of things, but he's been straight. I don't mean that it's good, bad, or indifferent. It's just been straight. And we, as I said, the thing that I find most assuring is he raised, and I fully agree, that either one of us have any concern, Mr. Ambassador, any concern about anything between our nations or happening in our region, we should pick up the phone and call one another, and we'll take the call.
No, that's not what he said. It's another one. It's another one. I gotta find it. Y'all gonna flip out. Oh man, they took it because they know it's a that Biden said that he would want to be president. Z. No, that's not it. There is no other man he wants to be. Come on. Yeah, I can't. It's funny. You can't find it no more. Can't find it no more. How funny is that? Um, yeah. They took off the Z thing. Let me look one last thing. Because he was going in. Nope. They don't have it no more. He was at a meeting. Biden at talks about Z. He was yelling. He was wait. I know how to find it. Talks about Marjorie Taylor Greene and Z. Where is it at? I love that outfit. It must be right here. Okay. Here it's coming. They only talking about nope. I can't find it no more. But he said he would rather be no other person other than President Z. He said that his words was what president would he love to be? He's like I would rather be no other president other than President Z. And I was like, wow, man. I was like, whoa, why would you say that? Now I messed up with the sunsetting. He said that Republicans said that they wanted to sunset it. So with that being said, I am yeah. Thank you, Byron. Thank you. Thank you. So with that being said, y'all take care. Be safe. And finish watching it. It's pretty good. I can't believe I spent 2 hours up. I usually be sleeping now. Take care. Good night, man.